promised to take me to Donegal Fair, to buy me some ribbons to tie up my hair. And I know that someday he'll come back o'er the tide, then surely he'll make me his own loving bride. Now if I were a blackbird, I'd whistle and sing, and I'd follow the ship that my true love sails in. There in the top riggin' I will build my nest, and I'd pillow my head on his manly young breast. Now his parents, they chide me and do not agree that me and my sailor boy married will be. But let them do chide me or do what they will, while his breath's in my body, he's the one I love still. Now if I were a blackbird, I'd whistle and sing, and I'd follow the ship that my true love sails in. There in the top riggin' I would build my nest, and I'd pillow my head on his manly young breast.
One night when the bright moon illumined the sky, then I first took a notion to marry. I put on my hat and away I did hie. You might think I was in a great hurry. I went to a place where I oft times had been. My heart gave a leap when my charmer I seen. She opened the door and I quickly went in, saying, "Will you come over the mountain?" Oh, what sort of fit has got into your head? I am glad for to see you so merry. It's 12 by the clock and I should be in bed. Speak low or you'll waken my mammy. If you think I am jesting, my jesting is true. I've courted 6 months now, I think it should do. Before I do sleep, I'll be married to you if you'll come with me over the mountain. Oh, if I was to make an elopement with you, it might well be attended with danger. The whole country would prattle and censure us too. My parents would frown, and no wonder. Well, just let them prattle and censure away. Consult with thyself, for it's now getting day, and I don't care a fig what the whole world may say. If I just had you over the mountain. Oh, but I am resolved now at home for to stay.
That's John Nielsen. All right, we're live.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special live in-person and online broadcast from the Quebec Anglophone Heritage Network. My name is Heather Darch, and I'm here with my colleague Glenn Patterson, and we're project directors for the Quebec Anglophone Heritage Network. I'm going to call it QAHN from now on. It's a little easier to say. And we're coming today to you out there in beautiful Valcartier, Quebec, and we're guests of the Saint-Gabriel-de-Valcartier Historical Committee. So a round of applause for them. Yahoo! We're going to welcome our special guests today. Thank you to our online audience for being there. We're in the offices of the Saint-Gabriel-de-Valcartier Historical Committee and their archives as well. And if you're tuning in online, please take a moment to let us know where you're watching from. You might have a connection to some of the people in the room here today. You might have a long, deep heritage, then you haven't been back to Valcartier in a long time. So we'd love to know what your connection is to the people in this room, to Valcartier itself and its history and its past. So that would be great if you let us know where you are and any special memories that you'd like to share online. We'll try to connect in and as we roll through the day to see what you're saying. And there may be some questions for our guests today too, so we'll watch for that as well. The Quebec Anglophone Heritage Network is a nonprofit organization, and our goal is to protect and promote and preserve the history of Quebec in general, but in particular of Quebec's English-speaking communities that are spread right across the province. Now, you're more than welcome to become a member of QAHN, and you can check us out online at QAHN.org to find out a little bit more about us. And one of the things you can get as a member is our quarterly publication called Quebec Heritage News. And it's a great publication filled with stories by historians and local historians as well, and pictures. And QAHN loves local history and connecting the people that make local history happen. So it's one of the benefits of becoming a member to obtain that magazine. This is our Reconnecting Heritage project, our Heritage Live project. We've been separated by the pandemic, by 2 years, by masks, by all the regulations, and our own anxieties about getting together. So it was QAHN's idea to hold these little hybrid events so that our organizations that are connected to one another, the friends and organizations that know the Saint-Gabriel-de-Valcartier Historical Committee, that they can get together and say hi because they haven't been together for a long time. So it's really great that we're able to do that today. And I'd like to thank our funder for making this happen. That's Canadian Heritage, and they are giving us support today through the Canada Arts, Culture, Heritage, and Sports Recovery Program. So we have a great afternoon prepared for you. We're going to meet Heritage Committee members, friends of the Saint-Gabriel-de-Valcartier Historical Committee, who have so graciously welcomed you, and you have been so wonderfully welcomed into the room, and thank you for coming today. We're going to have an unveiling of something very special. We're going to meet some very talented quilters. We'll say hello to some interesting characters. Some of them are just standing over there in the corner, and I do mean characters. And it wouldn't be Valcartier if we didn't have some toe-tapping music. So we have a great afternoon set for you, and let's get started. I think probably the best thing we can do is to kick off the afternoon with someone who probably doesn't need an introduction, but for those of you out there, we're going to introduce you to the president of the Saint-Gabriel-de-Valcartier Historical Committee, Debbie Shakur. Hi, Debbie.
Welcome, Debbie.
Have a seat and welcome. Yeah, I see you brought some goodies, but
I brought some goodies, but first I would just like to, on behalf of the municipality and the historical committee, welcome everybody here, all of you out there in Facebook land, and we're going to hand, and a special thanks to Kwan for helping make this a reality. And the first contact we had was to help kickstart the activities back into, we've done nothing basically for 3 years, and so we were kickstarted back into life, and we're very happy to do this with you. So
it's our pleasure, Debbie. Maybe you could tell us what is the Saint-Gabriel-de-Valcartier Historical Committee? When did you get started, and what do you do?
Well, we got started informally before 2016 because we were doing some historical programming with the MRC of the Jacques-Cartier. And then, as we were doing that research, we found that the original call for settlement up in here was in the year 1816. We found a article that was in the Chronicle Telegraph, which was John Nielsen calling for settlers to come up to this land that was, just in this little valley. And I had the idea, well, wouldn't that be fun to have settlement days, have a little weekend in the fall and celebrate our 200th. They weren't settled here yet. They first had to build the road and clear things and put mills in, but that's when it started. And then John Nielsen popped out of the grave and said, I think you should do something every month that year. And it's hard to say no to John Nielsen. And so we went ahead and had a whole year of celebration of settlement days. And then we took 2 years off because we were exhausted. And then we started coming back in with programming, but that was the birth of our committee. We said, we've got a good start here. Let's keep going. We've done a lot of oral history because we needed that. Thank you to everyone in the community here who just brought photos and told stories and told me stories 5 times so that I could get it straight eventually. And that's really how we started. And we were just getting going when the pandemic hit. And so we shut down again. So now we're going to get going again. So watch out. That's all I can say, just watch out. We're back, we're back.
Well, you're in a beautiful building, and we're going to have a tour of your archives later. And so this is a new location for you.
It's a new location, 2017, I think, about that. The municipality was looking, we needed more room because our gym was in a basement over by the fire hall. So when they were looking for more room, the general director at the time, Jones, said, what does the Historic Society need? And we said, well, ideally we would like, and laid it out, and pretty much this is what we got. So we've been here since then, and it's been wonderful to have this space. This is a multi-purpose space here, and then we have an office and archives that you feel free to walk through later in the day. And feel free to go to the other multi-purpose room where the multi-purpose kitchen is with all of the coffee and snacks for the afternoon, and feel free to go and help yourself. This is very informal. Come and go as you wish. Okay.
I see you've brought something for us. What do you have?
Because in addition to having the people here in our community who has been helpful, we have had over the years members of the community who have preserved the knowledge of this community. I think we can go, Bernie Moynihan was probably one of the first, and Bernie would type up all the stories he heard. And sometimes you can tell it was Bernie by the way the typing is on the paper, because we can say that was Bernie's typewriter. And he came up with a lot of information that was preserved at the municipality, as well as through people like Eric Corrigan, who has been one of my major sources of information about the area. Leonard Conway has preserved things about the church. So we've had people in our community who have really helped save that, but it was all in that closet or in that head or in that mind. And so we've done a lot of, we're trying to do a lot of oral history We put out a call for photos. You can see that people showed up with boxes and boxes of photos that we were able to scan to start our process. And in addition to that, we've got I call them our Valcartier cousins. These are descendants of people from Valcartier who now live in Wisconsin and Florida and out west. And they all kind of have this central hub with a woman named Pat Balcom, who has a site, I believe it's called Genealogy Valcartier. If you Google Genealogy Valcartier, you'll get to her site, and we have all the church records. We've got the genealogy section. We've got stories from Bernie and stories from Eric and stories from Leonard Conway. And because of that, we get people visiting us here who Pat says, well, if you're going up there, call Debbie or call the municipality. And so they come and they share their stories. We had visits over the pandemic. We had the Todd family come up. We had the QAHN family was up. Am I forgetting somebody? There's another family as well. And just recently, I heard from, I'm going to call him for keep things private, we'll call him Ian O'Neill, although he's a descendant of the O'Neills from Florida, who was actually a cousin of Pat's. And he said, I have done research into the O'Neill family. I've sent a copy of my research to Irish Heritage Quebec. Would you like it? And I said, yes, we would. And he said, well, I'll ship it to you. I've been so busy, I never had time to open it, so we decided to do an unboxing live on Facebook of the O'Neill documents that are here. So shall we dig in?
Yes.
All right, let's do this. So Ian, if you're out there on Facebook, thank you so much. This is exciting.
I hope you are, Ian.
Oh, I hope so too, because this is, oh, can I get through here?
There's no cheating. We're doing it live.
Forgive me for destroying the box.
So the O'Neills were a founding family up here?
Not a founding family, but they did live up here. They also live down in Quebec. Some of you may have heard of the O'Neill House that's on the Chauveau. I'm sorry, on Boulevard Amel. Yep. That was the O'Neill homestead as well, but there were O'Neills here. In fact, he told me that there is an O'Neill descendant here in the village. Yeah. What? Tilly? Who lived here?
No, down on Boulevard.
Oh, on the boulevard? Okay.
Tilly, and I think it was you, I'm not sure, something. It might come to me later, but I think it's you.
You see what I mean? They just pop out.
It's great.
It's so wonderful. I just say, well, let me call so-and-so. So here we go. Are you ready? For, oh my goodness, this is like a treasure. Yes. Oh my, look at this. Is this absolutely, look at this.
Yeah, show this.
Chock full of information. And there's three other, here, I'm going to get rid of that because we don't need that anymore. So we're not going to go through every single page here, but I will read it. It says, the O'Neills of Quebec, Canada, bicentennial, 1818 to 2018, history and genealogy of this Irish family. And
Fantastic.
just, this is why I wouldn't open it when I was busy, because there was no way. Yeah.
You're going to have so much fun reading that. Oh my goodness.
But then is that going to be available for the public?
We will have it in our archives. We also have a lot of Magella Murphy's documents that Pat Balcom Irish Heritage Quebec gave them to us. Pat sorted them and put them in boxes labeled. We will eventually have a lot of this online as well. So, and you are all invited to come here to look through some of these documents. Shall we open these real quickly too?
Let's do it. It's so important for historical societies and archives to receive these kinds of things from the community.
Where
even
would we
if
be without it?
I know, even if you only just loan your documents and your photographs to be scanned, it's just so important to keep in the community.
All of these photographs. This is mainly in French. This is mainly in French. Saint Charles, come up and check out the O'Neills from here. Because that O'Neill house is kind of in your range. Not exactly. Okay. Well, that's close enough. Yeah. Okay. I don't want to cut any paper, so I'm just going to try to. That's like a kid on Christmas morning, isn't it? Yeah.
It's wonderful. There's so much Irish history up here
This was sent up from
too.
Florida too. I can
Wow.
tell you that it was quite the undertaking here. There's the William Patrick O'Neill farmhouse, 1863, the Maison O'Neill. So that's the one we're talking about there. Look at these, all beautiful with pictures and, oh,
It's laminated, all of the pages too. It's wonderful.
Everything's laminated. Oh my goodness, Ian, we owe you big time. Please come up from
It's
Florida.
amazing the care people put into this work, and it's probably just done in someone, it's a hobby in someone's spare time.
It's just a hobby, and he said he's, well, he told me he's up in his 80s there. He kept telling me I shouldn't say I was old. But it's important to have this available. So we have the and they will have exactly the same thing down in Quebec at Irish Heritage Quebec, and it certainly will be available for everyone, and we're so thankful to people who send us various documents and photos, and
It's inspirational. Maybe other people will think they could do that for their own family too. And
anyone out there, we're here. Yeah. Oh, here we go. These are some photos. That's the Irish, an Irish parade from here, right? Is that from here, maybe? Or yeah, that looks like a parade here. I know he's been up in the last, I don't remember how many years, but fairly recently, and when they opened the O'Neill House, so that was a few years ago. So anyway, we are unboxed. The O'Neill family has arrived back in Valcartier, so there we go.
thank you so much, Thank you.
So shall we get on with other things?
Yes, we'll move on. All right.
good.
Thank you very much for sharing that. That's really exciting. So that will be on display in the archives in just a few minutes, no doubt, knowing Debbie, she'll have it all ready for us. It's going now. Our next guest is actually representing two historical groups. We're going to welcome Deborah Kiley, representing Shannon Historical Society and the Shannon Local Heritage Council. So come on up, Deborah. It's really nice to meet you.
Hello.
Hi there. Welcome.
Thank you.
So you're representing two different groups. They sort of have the same sounding name, but maybe you could help us out to differentiate between the two. I'm sure they both do very different things.
They are. They're two different, completely separate mandates. The Local Heritage Council is an advisory committee which provides guidance to City Council in Shannon. So anything that has to do with history or heritage, they consult the Local Heritage Council. We do things such as naming the new bridge. The roads in Shannon are named by our committee also. So anything that has to do with heritage and that the city is not quite sure, they come to see us and we give our opinion or our suggestions.
That's actually really marvelous because you often see street names just named after current politicians or people that nobody really remembers, and the why behind the street name is so important to remember, or a place name. That's very... that's
For sure, we tried to name them after the first postmaster. We just built a new cultural center in Shannon. It was named after Thomas Guilfoyle, who was our first mayor of Shannon. So we have a display of Thomas Guilfoyle's the farm equipment that he had, and at the office. So it's quite they're quite generous in taking our advice, and we're quite happy to give it.
very good. And then the other organization.
So the Shannon Historical Society is completely a complete separate entity. It's was founded by Mrs. Pauline McCarthy at the time, and its mandate is to research and compile and promote the history and heritage of Shannon, but not under the guise of City Council. So it's a very different mandate. We've collected, if you come and see our table over there, we've collected a multitude of wedding pictures from people that have gotten married and family pictures. And you can see in all the group pictures, people come by and say, oh, there's my grandmother or there's my grandfather, and in those pictures. So we try and promote and collect a lot of the artifacts and photos, before it's forgotten.
Do you find that there's a lot of community support? Do you have a lot of people involved in the society?
We do, and it's all volunteer. But anytime we reach out to anybody up here in Valcartier Village or any other, they're very, and St. Catharines also, they're very generous, and they're always willing to do mutual things together. So I'm really happy to be invited here today because it's so nice to meet the other people who have the same interests, and really, working together, it makes such a difference. It really does.
It really does. And you realize in events like this, how many people actually are very passionate about local history and family history and their own genealogy. And what projects are you working on right now in the Historical Society that you'd like to tell us about?
Well, the Historical Society, we're still compiling any pictures that anybody would like to donate. I've got a few ladies here who might bring me some wedding pictures, so I'm very happy about that. And the Local Heritage Council is working on, we just did the lancement, the launch of the balado for Shannon. So it's a history balado, and it has, if you can download it on your phone, and you can see all the historical points in Shannon, the chapel, the 1877 schoolhouse, the bridge, the train station. And so we've been working really hard on getting that out. And
This is part of live
Cell
production.
phones.
it is.
It's going to happen to me later, I bet.
And also, we've been working on history capsules. So
What's that?
if you go onto the Shannon website, shannon.ca, and go into the history capsules, you'll see that we have a capsule on the chapel. We have capsules on the schools. And we have there's also not just the history, there's pictures, and people have donated pictures. And so it really gives you the fabric of Shannon. It really, you know, a lot of people moving to Shannon say, we don't know what the history of Shannon is. So I always try and refer them over to them, and they're in English and they're in French. So they're really easy for any audience. And people are interested to see where they're living and who founded it. And it's quite a nice task to do.
Yeah, you realize that our communities probably don't have a lot of our early founders still living in them. We're lucky if they do, but it's so important to share the history to newcomers so they have an attachment to their place. And Shannon has such a rich history of Irish history, of course, but it's really wonderful. And you have a marvelous banner that shows some of the important places in the community. And so I encourage everybody in the room today to go check out the table for the both groups, the Shannon Historical Society and the Shannon Local Heritage Council. And you have someone standing by for at the table, and perhaps you could introduce him quickly.
Yes, this is actually my husband, Rob Landrigan. He's also a member of the Local Heritage Council.
Very good. Welcome, Rob. Thank you so much, Deborah?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's wonderful to hear all about
Nice to
it.
be here.
Yeah,
Thank
for
you.
sure. And again, if you want to find out more information, you can go to each of the tables and just ask for their website, their Facebook pages. And I'm sure you can go, if you're interested too, to the QAHN website to find out more about the different groups as well. So anything going on with our Facebook folks at the moment, Glenn? It's
Well, we had some people watching. We have Granite Falls, Washington, Laval.
Wow.
Oh, hello from Vancouver.
Wow.
Yeah, we're in Maitland. So Boucherville. Anyways, that's all we have for now.
Well, that's all right. Thank you for joining in. That's great. See, the wide network that we can throw out from Valcartier is great. Our next guest is representing Voices of English-Speaking Quebec, and we know it as VEC, but we're going to talk to Dominic Paddock in the hot seat, please. Dominic.
Welcome, Dominic.
There we go. We'll give Dominic a round of applause, too. Yeah, thank you for coming. So you are a community group in the greater Quebec area, but perhaps you could tell us a little bit more about what is the Voices of English-Speaking Quebec.
Okay, so VEC, as we are known as, we're a community organization that works with the English-speaking population of Quebec. So we've been around for about 30 years now, over 30 years, and our main office is in Quebec City. And we do community development. We work on community initiatives. We also work a lot on projects with youth and projects with seniors. And for example, we offer we offer outings to community events or to sites of interest with seniors. So that's part of a good part of our programming also, and we work with newcomers coming into the region. So more recently, we were given the opportunity to open a satellite office in the region, so in the northern perimeter of Quebec City, as we call it. So we were able to connect with the local groups that have existed here for years and years, and the idea was to expand our services to the English-speaking community, knowing that there are pockets in Valcartier Village and in Shannon and Stoneham and in Sainte-Catherine. So that's kind of the things we do: community development, community initiatives, newcomer information, newcomer services, that is, and yeah. So that's we're kind of a hub of information for the English-speaking community. And so, to let the people know that there is a vibrant English-speaking community in Quebec City and in the region, and that, some people tend not to know about it, or they don't know that it exists, especially if you're coming from outside, and even from inside, to tell you the truth. So that's kind of what we do.
What do you find are the biggest obstacles for the English-speaking community? Or you're sort of coordinating a lot of activities, but do you find that there's an issue that English-speaking communities face in this region?
Not necessarily. I think that, it's, I think there are a lot of people that have become, bilingual, and there's still a lot of, I think it's more to be known that we offer that kind of services. It's kind of I think the younger generation is more bilingual, and that, maybe the older generation, but still, it's evolved in a good way, and, it's not, we work also in partnership with Francophone organizations and with the municipality, the city of Quebec, and of Shannon and Saint-Gabriel, so, it's not necessarily like an issue or a divide. It's more like kind of like giving more, showing the cultural aspect of the English-speaking community that I found out a lot about here, working with opening the office and learning more about the history of Shannon, of Saint-Gabriel-de-Valcartier. It's been really an interesting experience for me, and to find out how rich it is,
Yeah, I imagine you find out how, like you said, how lively the Anglophone community is, and it's in their different pockets, and it must be exciting to connect them all and to be part of it.
Yeah, it is, and it's been, I think one of the rich, what's been rich for me here working at VEC and with the community partners is to get to know the folks behind the names, and there are a lot of community organizations that do a lot of great work, and QAHN being one of them. So it's great to be part of it, and to try to continue to offer services where there can be a place where we can put our foot in without stepping on anyone's toes, but just
Well, it's great to partnership.
I want to give a shout out to VEC, because actually early in the pandemic, QAHN got to do 2 or 3 events early on, online completely, but it was with the Saint-Gabriel-de-Valcartier Historical Committee and the Shannon Historical Society, and they said, well, we should bring VEC in. And right away, VEC just said yes. Dominic was there in all the meetings, and such a help promoting, coordinating, getting the word out. It was just, you really offer an exceptional service to the wider region. So thank you for all your support to QAHN over the last few years.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
No, it's my pleasure.
Thank you. Okay.
And I just it's nothing, and it's a pleasure to meet some of you. Also, I'm realizing that Glenn, I know Glenn for now, I think 2 years, or when we did that St. Patrick's event in, but it's the first time I see him live, and then even and Allison also, I've seen her once, I think, but I'm like, is that Allison? Yes, it must be Allison. So.
No, we recognize each other just from Zoom audiences.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know.
But no, I just wanted to mention that the Shannon office that we do have, it's we get we're funded also by Canadian Heritage. This one is a project which is funded by the government of Quebec, the English Secretariat. So it's been a great opportunity for us to be able to try to reach out more to the community that is there, the English-speaking community and the friends of the English-speaking community. And you can check us out on. Here's my. You can check us out. It's free to become a VEC member. So for those that are watching that are more local, you can always know what's going on, activities or events that we're doing, or events of other English-speaking community organization on our calendar of events. So.
On your website, Facebook page.
Facebook page and website. Yeah, exactly. vec.ca. So. Say it again. vec.ca.
Thanks, Dominic.
Right. Well,
that's wonderful.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thank you. Our next guest is from the Société Histoire Catrinoise, and her name is Joanne Boucher. Hello. Hello, Joanne. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here. I'm very pleased.
We're delighted. Can you tell us all about your society?
Well, La Société Caterinoise is a small historical society who's been involved since 2012. It was before I just joined, just before the pandemic. The pandemic at that society, but at that time they were working for local exposition, publish different articles in the local newspaper, and also they work pretty much a lot with the community television, la CGSR, which they were presenting different topic about the history of Sainte Catherine.
Very good. Is it a very large society? Do you have many people helping?
It's not really. We have to work hard, especially with the pandemic. Now we have to rebuild the membership, definitively.
You're a non-profit and
Absolutely.
so you're constantly fundraising, looking for help.
Absolutely. Like most of us,
Like
I
all of
think.
us.
Yes.
What projects are you working on right now? I passed by your table and you told me something very interesting. I brought it here with me in case you wanted to talk about it.
Yes, yes. Just last weekend, we launched a new multimedia activity that you can find through the internet. If you go to the histoirecaterinoise.ca, and you will arrive to our historical website, and then you click on the tab Activité Multimédia, and then you will find out a whole map of Sainte-Catherine. At that time, it was Sainte-Catherine de Portneuf, previously Sainte-Catherine de Fossambeau, and today de la Jacques-Cartier. It's based on a whole map that we found, and you can find different short videos regarding different topic of mystical events. Yep, very, very mystical. The devil was on fire, and we have proof of that. We have multiple documents of that, so you can find the article joined to the videos.
That sounds fun.
I'm not joking. So the events are between 1887 with the devil up to 1924. So at that time, Shannon was part of Sainte Catherine de la Jacques-Cartier, so he's a part of Shannon community at the same time, of a part of the history. And it's a good way to discover funny event, how people get the information at that time, how people communicate at that time, how people find a way to solve problems at that time, which is quite different than today, somehow and somehow not. So this is very interesting because it would be very interesting for the young children who are mobiles and everything is so easy to discover. They have to use the telegraph. What is it? What is that? Exactly. So things like that. So it's a good way to learn things. And the global warming doesn't affect only today. So you can discover something in 1924.
I'm intrigued. That sounds really interesting.
You have to go there. And it's a kind of game, if people want. We have a questionnaire that you can download. And with the answer you will find, you can decode the Morse code and discover the answer of a question.
That sounds cool. It sounds like a lot of fun. Good for you.
I hope so. But actually, and also, we are about to prepare the 200th anniversary of Sainte Catherine de la Jacques-Cartier in 2024. So in preparation of that, on September 11th, we will open the door for the church for people who want to discover or rediscover a part of its history and a part of its originality. We know that Sainte Catherine, the church of there, is quite different than others, but there is a reason for that. So this is the way that people can discover and can go visit and go different part of the church and so on.
Sounds fantastic. Getting ready for the big party.
Yeah, we have thousands, I exaggerated, but We have a lot of projects. We are about to recruit people to help us and with the city because everything was slowing down because of the pandemic. So this fall, things are starting because the city plans to celebrate during all year long. So
If someone would like to help out and be part of it, how would they contact you?
well, they can go to our website, so histoire89.ca, or they can write down, they will find out our internet link and so on. So it's very easy to join us. And meanwhile, during the pandemic, we started to build to archives all type of artifacts, documents, photo, object that people keep. They remain owner of the object, but we take picture and so on. So we are building a private archive system now through the cloud. So it was very useful to build our multimedia project. Eventually, what I hope is to make this this archive system public.
It's a fantastic idea. Wonderful. You realize that all the small societies around here are collecting and preserving, protecting, and it's just this wonderful grassroots level of work. So well done. It's really exciting. I'm looking forward to going to your website and hearing more about you too. So thank you so much, Joanne. It was really wonderful. Thank you.
I just want to say, I'll sneak in the frame here. Check out their Facebook page. They're so active on Facebook, the Société Histoire Catrinoise. They're always posting new stuff, interesting, audio clips. I saw a census from 1825 there. That was absolutely fascinating. So check them out on Facebook as well and follow them.
Fantastic. Well, notre prochain invité est Mario Lucier de la Société d'Histoire de Haute-Saint-Charles.
Bienvenue, Mario. Juste prendre le micro.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, bienvenue Mario, ça va?
Ça va bien, merci et vous?
Très bien, très bien. Juste comme tout le monde, on veut savoir les débuts de votre organisme, l'histoire, un petit aperçu de l'histoire, les activités,
oui.
Mandat, tout ça.
Alors, la Société d'histoire de la Haute-Saint-Charles couvre le nord de la ville de Québec, donc l'arrondissement de la Haute-Saint-Charles, ce qui inclut les territoires de Loretteville, Neuchâtel, Val-Bélair, Lac-Saint-Charles et Saint-Émile. Donc, c'est un immense territoire, vous le devinez. Notre organisme a été fondé en 2004 par Marc Doré, qui était le bibliothécaire de la ville de Loretteville. Alors, toujours très actif à la Société d'histoire, plus sous le conseil d'administration, mais très actif. Puis, notre mandat est évidemment de préserver le savoir, la connaissance, des informations sur le patrimoine, des archives privées que nous ramassons et d'ouvrir notre centre, notre local aux visiteurs afin qu'ils puissent avoir accès à ces ressources-là. À titre d'exemple, nous avons environ 20 000 photos anciennes, plus ou moins. Le nombre exact, là, je ne suis pas en mesure de vous le dire. On a environ 1500 livres et des centaines de documents et d'objets également. On collectionne des objets. Entre autres, on a un fonds qui provient de Gabrielle Plot, qui était une skieuse qui a skié, entre autres, au Mont-Saint-Sacrement, lorsque c'était un centre de ski, et qui devait participer aux Jeux olympiques de 1948, mais qui a dû laisser sa place puisqu'il s'est blessé juste avant de partir aux Jeux. On a donc des objets aussi d'un sculpteur de Loretteville qui s'appelait Rosaire Audette, alors qui faisait toutes sortes de sculptures qui étaient vendues à travers tout le Canada dans des centres touristiques. Puis, on préserve ça. Là. On est, entre autres, on se vante d'être le lieu à l'international le plus important de la préservation des sculptures de Rosaire Audette.
Et tout est disponible en ligne ou en personne?
En fait, on peut faire des demandes de recherche en ligne. Évidemment, on ne peut pas rendre accessible, par exemple, 20 000 photos anciennes. Là, ça serait extrêmement lourd là, à supporter informatiquement parlant. Mais on est disponible là, pour rendre ces pièces-là là, pour les chercheurs, pour les fouilleurs, là, pour les gens qui veulent obtenir de l'information. On a des demandes de partout, évidemment. Là, un peu, j'entendais tantôt des gens qui sont éparpillés un peu partout en Amérique du Nord. Alors, on a des demandes de partout, puis on répond à ces demandes-là. Puis ça me permet de faire un lien également avec Saint-Gabriel. En fait, nous, dans le secteur de Loretteville, on se trouve à l'intérieur d'une ancienne seigneurie qui s'appelait Saint-Gabriel, la seigneurie Saint-Gabriel. Puis pour moi, c'est magique de savoir qu'il reste encore un nom de cette vieille seigneurie-là, c'est Saint-Gabriel-de-Valcartier, alors qui a été fondé en 1816, là, comme vous le savez, par John Nelson. Mais c'est le 3e lieu de peuplement important à travers ce territoire seigneurial-là. Donc l'ancienne Lorette, la jeune Lorette qui devient Loretteville et Valcartier par la suite.
Il y a quelque chose que j'ai remarqué quand je suis venu ici pour la première fois. Beaucoup de gens dans la vieille génération parlent de Loretteville comme un endroit super important. Est-ce que vous pouvez parler de ça un peu?
Oui, certainement. En fait, j'entends les aînés de chez nous qui disent les gens de Valcartier venaient magasiner sur la rue Racine à Loretteville. Je vois des gens qui opinent de la tête, là. Alors, les aînés... parce que Loretteville a été un cœur commercial très important, en fait, dans tout le nord de la région de Québec, probablement jusqu'à son déclin commercial qui est arrivé sans doute autour des années 60. Puis je pense que, entre autres, l'incendie de l'église de Loretteville en février 1967 a joué un rôle important dans l'espèce de déclin éventuel, puis de les commerces se déplaçant vers le boulevard Lormière et dans les grands boulevards nord-américains, là. Mais encore aujourd'hui, j'entends là, nos membres là, qui disent ça. Puis dès qu'on évoque Saint-Gabriel, ben, chez nous aussi, à Loretteville, à Neuchâtel, là, les gens ont tous eu ou ont tous connu quelqu'un qui avait un chalet, une maison d'été, quelque part à Saint-Gabriel-de-Valcartier. Alors, il y a un lien très fort dans les deux territoires entre celui du sud, donc dans la Haute-Saint-Charles, et celui du nord, là, où j'ai le bonheur de me trouver avec vous aujourd'hui. Puis, même avec la rivière au Pin, là, le secteur de la rivière au Pin, là, ça ne prend pas beaucoup de mots en lien avec la rivière au Pin pour allumer les souvenirs des gens là, qui aiment beaucoup parler de ces secteurs-là puis qui ont eu beaucoup de plaisir à venir fréquenter les territoires vers le nord, là, où on se trouve aujourd'hui. Puis sans compter aussi dans le peuplement, là, toutes les terres à bois là, qui se trouvaient là, vers le nord. Là. À chaque fois que je fais des recherches dans les titres, on trouve toujours quelqu'un qui avait des lots, des maisons à Loretteville, mais qui avait aussi une terre à bois à Saint-Gabriel-de-Valcartier ou dans le secteur de Neuchâtel-Nord ou à la Montagne-Ronde, etc., etc. Donc, on ne peut pas séparer les deux territoires là, physiquement, là, on est liés.
C'est exactement ça que Debbie m'a dit il y a quelques semaines. Et vous avez bien expliqué tout ça. Merci, Mario. Je veux juste demander les activités qu'on fait pendant les 2 ou 3 dernières années. Est-ce que vous parlez un peu de ça?
Oui, bien essentiellement, nous, on a une activité phare qui s'appelle les mercredis de l'histoire à la Haute-Saint-Charles. C'est le premier mercredi de chaque mois, 7 fois par année à partir du mois d'octobre, où on fait une conférence sur un thème. Puis, quand je suis devenu président de la Société d'histoire en 2007, je crois bien, quand on faisait les réunions du conseil d'administration, il y avait des décrochages continuels des gens. À chaque fois qu'on évoquait une maison, qu'on évoquait un lieu près de chez nous, bien là, les gens disaient « Ah oui, mais c'est mon grand-père, c'est un tel, on allait là. » Là, j'ai essayé de canaliser cette énergie-là. J'ai fait ce que j'appelle les mercredis d'histoire. Donc, une conférence sur un thème justement pour faire parler les gens, pour leur permettre de partager leurs souvenirs avec l'ensemble de la communauté. Puis, quand on a fait les premiers mercredis d'histoire, il y avait une dizaine de personnes qui venaient. Les derniers qu'on a fait en présence, c'était une centaine de personnes. Et on est passé en ligne pendant la pandémie sur Zoom. On s'est enregistré, on les a mis sur YouTube. Ils sont tous disponibles sur YouTube. Et en ligne, ce qui a été merveilleux, c'est qu'on a gardé cet échange-là entre les gens qui partageaient leurs souvenirs, mais on a pu aussi aller chercher des gens qui ne se déplaçaient pas physiquement parce que ce n'était pas à côté de chez eux, des gens de Montréal, des gens de l'extérieur qui pouvaient participer et échanger et nous faire profiter de leur savoir. Je dis souvent là, qu'on en sait le plus possible. Là. Plus on est, plus on en sait. Individuellement, on en sait un petit peu, mais quand on réussit à se partager, cette connaissance. Et j'ai vu l'ouverture de la boîte tout à l'heure, là. J'ai trouvé ça merveilleux là, de pouvoir assister à ça. Alors, donc, on a préservé les mercredis d'histoire. On a gardé notre local fermé pour des raisons sanitaires, mais on l'a ouvert au besoin sur demande de rendez-vous. Puis, on a continué à faire des recherches, de l'indexation et de l'acquisition de documents. Là, encore, à chaque fois qu'on va au local, on dépose des choses que les gens nous donnent. Et on a un problème d'espace. Là. On a trop de choses.
Avec les publics de centaines de personnes, ça devient dur.
Oui.
Mais c'est intéressant, la pandémie. C'est clair que c'était une expérience dure pour tout le monde, mais avec la technologie, dans une certaine façon, ça rend la culture un peu plus accessible.
Exact.
Yeah, c'est vraiment cool. On fait la même chose, les shows. On a les conférences sur Zoom, Facebook Live, ce qu'on fait maintenant, en fait, mais merci beaucoup, Mario.
Ça me fait plaisir. Merci beaucoup à toutes et à tous. Merci de m'avoir invité.
Checkez Saint-Charles. On a une page Facebook, Mario? Facebook, Internet, okay.
It's exciting, to hear about all the different stories people are doing. It's fantastic. So,
active,
yeah,
too.
really, this is a great area. We're very impressed.
We're learning too, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. For sure.
We're getting to know this area, but it's amazing to see.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
we'll go do a tour later. You'll see all this stuff people brought. It's incredible.
Now, you'll hear a bit of shuffling going on in the background, but we're getting ready to unveil something very important to the Saint-Gabriel-de-Valcartier Historical Committee. And we'll get them all shuffled here into place. And we're going to call upon... I don't know. It's chaos is ruling at the moment. We're going to call upon Bruce Kirkwood, Francois Vidal, Daniel Stewart, and André Chartier, who may go by other names today, I think. But and Debbie is just getting people settled to, yep. Perfect, thank you. There we go. Okay, we're ready, I think. So now, yeah.
This is live broadcast.
This is live. Yep. Keep talking. Keep talking.
Tell people watching online. There's a special promotion if you want to join QAHN today.
That's
Do the
right.
spiel, Heather.
Okay.
You've done it before.
If you're interested in becoming a member of QAHN, there actually is a 30% discount if you'd like to become a member for 1 year, and that is I can't remember the price anymore, but it's $20. $20 for 1 year. So if you can see me after the show today, you can go on to QAHN, the QAHN website, and when you put in the membership information, you can say that you qualify for the discount price, and we'll make sure the person that knows about that is informed. But you can become a member and just become part of this great network. And you can see that, for example, today, some of the folks in our network and the good work that they are doing. So now, I won't keep talking. I've been a part of the QAHN membership myself for quite a few years now, and I find that the more you network with people, the stronger your organization becomes. So it's an important, certainly an organization that does keep us all connected right across the province. Glenn and I have been doing these hybrid events now for a while. We've just come back from New Carlisle. We were at the Kempfer Center and reconnecting the folks in that region that haven't seen each other in 2 years. So again, if you'd like to become a member, just see me after the presentation today. And if not, just go to our Facebook page or our website at QAHN.org. I think we're ready now. Yes. So we have a wonderful presentation that's about to take place, and I'll just pass it over to all of you.
Good afternoon. You're Debbie. I'm Debbie. You're Debbie.
Hi and welcome. I'm so thrilled to have Voice of English Speaking Quebec
the Shannon Historical Society, la Société de Haute-Saint-Charles, and the Catherinoise group. This is something to have all these people here. I don't think it's ever been. I see. Hi there. You see all kinds of faces when you switch the sides of the room. So we have something here to unveil. It's something that has been kept in a box. And if we'd have it in its original state, a butterfly would go by and it would fall apart. But it's been seriously restored. This is the Right Honorable John Nielsen, the person responsible for Valcartier, basically, with 3 partners. He doesn't speak much. He's been dead for 200 years.
Come on, give me a break.
We also have a few other members. This is Adjutant Alexander Wolf. He's responsible for bringing a whole pile of people with him when he settled here.
Mm-hmm. We did a short walk for that.
Yeah, they just walked from, where was it? From
Halifax.
Halifax. Just a little trot from Halifax just to get here, but that's fine.
Yeah.
And I also have a good friend here. He's Mr. George Todd. George Todd, one of the people that settled here. And yeah.
Okay.
So he can tell us a few stories about how life was when he was.
How to settle down.
How to settle. How to chop down a tree and take out a stump. So perhaps I'll let the Adjutant Wolf and the Honorable John Nielsen unveil what is to be unveiled.
Well, I guess by now you know who I am and how it all started. It starts with an invitation to come as settlers here. We offer to pay for the seed, we offer to provide the tools, as long as you have the knowledge and all that, and we divide the land and sell it. That land had been Crown land before. And so me and 3 other partners, we acquired that and invited people to join in. But that's 1816. Now, I went away at 1848. So what happens after 1848 is as much of a guess for me as it will be for you. But we found something here that dates back to 1896. Now, that map was kept for weeks, months, and restored at the Centre de Conservation de Québec. Museum quality means they have experts working on paper documents. There was Scotch tape, there was all sort of glues, they had to recolor and redesign the whole thing. Then we had it framed, what they call museum quality framing, by an expert in Quebec. And once completed like this, it'll be on display on permanent basis on the walls here. Of course, everybody's welcome to come and have a closer look at this. And it's 1896 because we know the provenance, but also when they did the work on it, they found a filigrane. The paper is 1891. It's dated on it, so the references, all that has been verified, of course, and we're proud to display that because we were supposed to open it, of course, with what happened, COVID. So now we have for the first time a view of the public and a lot of questions, of course, and what happened, where were the roads and what was in Valcartier in 1896, what were the projects of road building and bridge and all that. And we have the lots that had been divided and given. And we're doing a research on all of that. And our reference now, Mr. Kirkwood.
Well, reference, because I live here. This is my house. Well, more recent house than this. But it's quite interesting because we do know the lots. The layout of the river is quite clear. They even have the islands. But it's the projected road. The road, Redmond Road, wasn't completed. So people used to get across on a ferry, right here, right in front of Joan Sheen's.
Where are we on this map?
We are here. We are somewhere around here. This is the Catholic Church.
Saint-Gabriel West before
The God's country.
Oh, excuse me.
Huh? So this is the Catholic Church that we know, just down the road, okay? So you have to cross the bridge, what we call Clark's Bridge, and then they used to go up Murphy Road, or you could get up here, which is now near the school, the École du Mont-Saint-Sacrement. But they had a little trail to get down, I guess. There must have been trails here for years before. But all of this wasn't built, because this section here, I guess the hill went right into the river. So it all had to be built up to allow, but I guess the people here that were living here, because there are houses, they must have petitioned to have a road. That's what you did back then, right? You petitioned the government or the municipality. And now you could get a road in, and the road goes through here to what we call Tanteri. The bridge here, the covered bridge, is not built yet. So people had to ferry across here somehow. I guess there was a ferry up around the Corrigan's house.
There were boats, they had boats.
Yeah, they had boats to get across when they didn't fall through on the ice during the winter, getting across. So it was a little perilous. And what's interesting too is this is Mark's school. It's a little schoolhouse here. That schoolhouse is exactly my next door neighbor. So that schoolhouse exists, but I'm sure it's not the same one. Sure, it probably burnt down 2 or 3 times before they got to survive that long. So we know these houses, we know who lived on these lots. So that makes it quite interesting. And we can tell here, this is the William Nielsen house. And it's interesting in the fact that they put 2 chimneys on the drawing. Here's a gentleman that can help us out quite a bit too.
Oh, maybe.
He lives right on this house. He still lives there today. It's interesting. So you can see 2 chimneys, everybody else has just 1. So it'll tell you a little bit of the story of how it all developed. And the road projected along must have made life a lot easier than taking that ferry across with all your equipment, your horse, everything. So it must have been quite something. Would you have a comment, Brian? You have all kinds of stories from Redmond Road.
I just got in here.
This is the previous.
No, you've been here for a while. You've been here a while. Because his house is, everybody knows it. You know, it's Caesar's Palace.
Yeah.
So Caesar's Palace is the Smith residence.
Exactly.
And the house that he occupies today is not the original house, because it was built closer to the river. Now it's built back farther. There was quite a party there last night behind your place.
He had fireworks and
Yeah, the whole shebang. So this is Corrigan land. There are several Corrigans along here, and then there's a couple of lots that were the Cacks, and that's who we bought. We bought from the Cacks, and then you get more Corrigans. It's a Corrigan sandwich. That's what it is. It's quite something. And Joan, you lived there a week or 2?
Oh, a few years.
A few
Yeah,
years.
I was born there.
You were born here? You were born right around the corner
Right
here?
on the border, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But you guys were up top, right?
Yeah.
On the plateau?
In 1963, our house, the farm house burnt.
Right.
And my parents built another house down on the Redmond Road, yeah. But, yeah, my grandmother originally went right back to Corcoran's Lake, back
Yeah.
to Lac Clos.
I don't know if they show the lake on this. Well,
No,
again, the
I
map.
think it's too far back,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the map, of the way it's been restored, it looks like there's a bunch of rivers, but this is actually the tears.
Yeah.
They did a fantastic job putting it back together.
The little White House, Bruce, you're talking about, I lived there in 1947.
Really?
And the school.
Yeah, okay, right.
They closed the school and I lived there.
Okay,
And
right.
the road was on the river
In
side.
front
Yeah.
of the house.
It wasn't in the back like
Right.
today.
Right.
At that time, though, the Redmond Road used to be flooded a lot before they
Mhm.
made the new road, because it was so
That's
close
why.
to,
Yeah. Well, our
it was
house.
much lower, you know?
Our house is built in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
And we knew that when we dug. We were into the road, so that's,
Yeah, all sort of small indications on the map. Feel free to come and take a closer look at it a bit later, but it shows where the post office was, where the house for the priest was. That's the former church, I understand, not the one we have, but the one that burnt. So all sort of little details can be found on this, including warnings, this is too dangerous to build or stuff like that. 1896.
yeah, the other schoolhouse is marked, the one next to the Irelands. You can see it clearly identified there. It's just a treasure of information, so. We just have to put names and dates and stuff, yeah. What would you have to say, Mr. Todd? You live there.
Yeah, well,
Mr.
I'm
Todd, yeah.
George Todd, and I live out, well, everybody knows about Todd's Hill.
Todd's Hills.
And I own the mill there, the sawmill there with my brother-in-law. And, yeah, my brother-in-law. And we own the sawmill there. And there have been many stories in Valcartier, and we look at all the settlers that came in the 1800s, and various Scots and the Irish, and they came from all over, and some came from Connecticut, I think. And there have been all kinds of stories. I have a story about Michael Corrigan, a 7-year-old. And Michael used to go to school, but he had to cross the river. He had to cross the river. And he used to go across the river during the wintertime when there was ice. So he'd cross the river, go to school, then come back and cross the river again. But one day, when he was coming back from school, the weather changed and the ice broke. And he, of course, turned back, and he was stuck on the side of the school. And went to see the teacher, luckily, because he was worried it was getting pretty cold. And the teacher, Anne McGurry, took him in and said, well, no problem, you can stay at our house. So he stayed at their house for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and finally made it back to his parents' place. And he was quite amazed of his stay at McGurry's, and he told his parents, he says, I can't, I've never seen this before. He says, they have water piped into the house, and they have flushing toilets. So, but then there's another story about Walter Knox. Walter Knox had a girlfriend across the river. Her name was Gwenny Brown, and he liked to go visit his girlfriend, go courting. And of course, there was no way across the river at that point. He had to take his clothes off and put them in a bundle and walk across the river. And then he'd dress up again and go see his girlfriend. And the same thing, coming back home at night. But Wilfred, good fellow, was courting his sister, Lily. So basically, the two men would cross paths on the river, naked, with their clothes on their heads, and say, "Hi, how's the weather? And is there a game on tonight?" Yeah, the water's cold, and they passed each other, and finally, everything worked out because they all got married and everything was fine and dandy. So not the two guys, they got married with their girlfriends. So basically, that's the way things were. So enough of my story. I have more stories later on.
Okay. Very nice. Thank you very much, Mr. Todd. Mr. Todd, another prosperous settler here. One thing we've noted too is that it's interesting to note you can go on the site of the municipality and find pictures of the houses along here. And let's say this house has a gambrel roof, but this one doesn't. And then this one does, and this one's you can see that it was different constructors, and they were all built basically at the same time, between 1875, let's say, and 1890 or 1900. So it's interesting to note that it's not all the same. Somebody out there had the knowledge and the expertise to build it one way or to build it another way, and that could be something that we could get into to research to find out more about, to see who built what. Because these houses, they didn't have too many nails. They had horses. The horses helped a lot. That's one thing we don't realize today. We have machinery, but they had horses. And they also harvested wood. And they'd send the wood to town because everybody knew that Quebec City was shipbuilding, and we had the resources. We had the trees and the pine. But did they go run it down the river?
Yeah, they had the river drive. There was
for the big
all
logs?
going down the river, sure.
Not the pulpwood, the big logs would send down?
The big,
I think they would haul it.
I witnessed the pulpwood.
So did I. But the big wood, I would imagine that they took it down on skids to bring it to the train.
No, at one time they did send logs down.
Big logs?
I think so.
On the river. Yeah, before the pulpwood.
Because we're talking massive logs there.
Yeah. But you see them rolling on the...
That's why I got you here, Brian. You tell the story.
What concerned some people was crossing in a boat, especially after dark or something. And if they went up on a log, couldn't get off, then they'd go with the current. My God. Yeah. So this is something they always tried to avoid. Yeah.
Yeah.
things that I heard, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you may not know this, but the very first outdoor club in Canada, I found it here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, for fly fishing and hunting.
Okay.
The very first outdoor club in Canada was founded in Jacques-Cartier. Yeah, so there was fishing in that river as well.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Well, it was a salmon river.
Salmon
And
river.
now it's restored back.
Is it back now?
Salmon river, yeah. It's many years now, the
Takes years.
PDCG, Comité de Restauration de la Jacques-Cartier.
Yes, yes.
The salmon is, it's back in the river.
What's fascinating with that map is that you have everything up there, but nothing about the fifth.
Pardon?
You don't have anything about the southern part of the river on this map. There were the fifth.
That would be Fifth Avenue.
Yeah, but you don't see any of it, like the map was for this.
Because we're so far away from the river.
Yeah, yeah.
There's still most of the bush today.
Yeah. So perhaps we could just present, this is Mr. Brian Smith, who's been commenting, who's lived around.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian.
And we have Joan Sheehan, who also has been here for a couple of years, as we know. Just slightly involved in the municipality, so if she says something, it's probably been there, done that. She knows all about it.
It's just wonderful you realize a map, all the stories that can come out of a map. I love maps for that reason. And our three presenters have certainly presented stories that you could, just by looking at an image or a bend in the river. And I'm so glad we've captured it on film, because those are stories, if you haven't written them down already, you can write them down. What will come out of that map is amazing, and it's beautifully restored, and how wonderful. And I know, Debbie, you have something you want to add to the...
Yes, before we do that, can we give our thanks to our funding for this, the MRC and the instalment?
Yes. What made possible that restoration, that level of restoration and framing, is from grants from the MRC, special programs for that, and we thank them because it would not have happened without them.
Yeah, it's wonderful, because restoration work is very expensive. So, and the Centre de Conservation does beautiful work and marvelous.
Are there any questions?
Yeah, does anybody
either in
have
the
any
audience or
questions from
online?
the group?
Oui, j'aimerais savoir s'il y a les numéros des lots du cadastre. Ah oui, il y a le numéro.
Absolument, les numéros de l'eau. Évidemment, pas de moderne aujourd'hui, qui a été
mais
fait
c'est
il y a
encore
tant
mieux
d'années.
d'avoir les
Mais il y avait 2 séries de numéros de l'eau, et ça, c'est la 2e série.
Ouais.
Donc, c'est dans les 300.
Ouais, le numéro à 3 chiffres, OK.
Ouais.
Super.
Comme chez nous, j'étais sur le lot 370. Je ne sais pas si ça existe.
Oui, oui, c'est absolument là-dessus. C'est parce que j'ai pas mes lunettes, mais ça, avec la maison qui est là.
It's where the guys were
C'est parce
walking.
qu'il n'y avait pas de subdivision à l'époque. Il n'y avait pas des parcelles. C'était les lots au complet. C'était toujours, au lieu de, admettons, 375, ben, c'est 370 pigs.
C'est des terres. Ce sont des terres. Oui.
Est-ce que vous connaissez l'auteur de la carte?
C'est écrit, did you see it?
Was
No,
that the Stewart you said?
Well, that
You're
was,
saying that
the map is, we don't know who the surveyor was, but we know that Henry Crawford was the superintendent, and he authorized it. But we can't read the name of the person.
because it's really look like in St. Catherine we found have it on my computer kind of map of 1882. And
Looks like it, yeah.
And it really looks like that one. It was done by John O'Sullivan.
The survey.
No, the St. Catherine.
Ah ben, frère de...
He's buried there.
We're gone. It's
Well,
all. It's gone. You lost them.
Meeting of Historical
Control
Society.
again.
This is how it goes.
Yeah.
Whenever we get together, we break down into all these stories. And I say, where's Allison with the camera? We need all this on camera. So thank you to our map presenters here. This is going to be back up on the wall. We took it down for the presentation. You're invited to come take a close-up look at it. We are going to do more research, get this information written down. And did you have a question?
I just have a question.
Oh, one last question, sorry.
No, I wanted to know if we could photograph it.
You can photograph it. Right, Allison, they could take a picture?
I just recommend you don't
Maybe
use a
without
flash.
or
Yeah,
anything?
the lady who did the restoration.
Yeah, I just don't want to do anything that damages it.
Yeah, but
No,
no
What
flashes
she
would
said
be
is
good.
it should not be exposed in direct sunlight.
Okay.
So flashes, if you can avoid it,
Yeah.
don't use a flash. But apart from that, it's perfectly safe.
I could just see you, Elmire, taking a picture of it, and poof, it goes up in flames.
I think we'll get Allison to take it,
There you
just
go.
email it to me.
Well, maybe we can get it up. We hopefully will get a lot of our photos and things that we're digitalizing online and accessible. Like all these photos eventually
It would
will
be
be
interesting
available.
to study.
Lots of music from the past will be available online. We're in that process now of doing that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So are we ready to head on to the next part here?
I am going to be walking over to the quilters now.
Well, what we'd like to invite you all to do is we're going to do a bit of a roam. So we're going to be interviewing the quilters. They're going to go back and do a little tour for a Facebook audience, the back of the offices and things. And we're going to set up for the music. So what would be lovely if you would like a little cup of coffee, a bottle of water, the snacks, they're all in that far room over there. We'll rearrange everything and then we'll call you back in. And we'll go from there. How does that? Oh, and please don't forget to sign our guest book, either on the way out or the way in. If you sign the book, you get to keep the pen. That's a deal. Okay, so
All right.
there we go.
Testing.
Wait
Okay.
for a camera to be on me, or?
We should. Okay, the camera's good. I gotta go grab it from Allison, and then we'll go visit the quilters.
Just let me know.
All right. Your mic is on, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm not locally from here, but I'm living here. But I come from Ireland.
Oh, yeah.
In Ireland, when I came to Saint-Gabriel and I started looking at the names, in Northern Ireland, I came from Queen's County, where my mother came from.
From whereabouts?
Queen's County.
Oh, Queens,
Queen's
okay.
County in Ireland.
Yeah.
And from my mother's area. And I noticed that the ropes in here, that came from the same parish.
We're gonna go visit the quilters, and then we'll do a little tour with you, Mr. Nielsen. Okay, we'll come back, and John Nielsen's gonna give us a tour after. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So except for the cottage.
No, it's this one.
Very cool. Very cool.
Hey,
My
Wesley.
mother's from Ireland too. Yeah, but from Belfast.
Very good.
Yeah.
Glad you're here.
Yeah.
Where's Heather?
I have Belfast
Ah.
relations too. Yeah, my father's side.
Wow.
I was always
Don't mind us. We're just getting our my colleague Heather Darch.
They really, a lot of them come from the same county in Ireland.
Yeah, they do.
Because the castles and everything, they were all from the elders. So
Okay.
there are a lot of them. I should go back, because for me they're talking about 1893. That's very late for me. I'm back in the early
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah.
I'm back in 1798, 1803.
When a lot of Irish came, I suppose, before the famine.
After 1793, mainly. Yeah. They really settled here. And the Ferdinand Murphy was one of the first ones to come.
All right,
And
we're
his sister Mary.
just give you a little background of the quilters.
And they were given so many acres of land to clear within the winter time.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I'm way back before.
Very good. It's nice to meet you.
All right.
Okay, here we go.
Well, there's so much life in here.
I know.
We did all the tests. It was so
hopping.
quiet.
It's wild. Now I'm here to interview Betty's Quilters. Hello, you everyone, and I'm going to be speaking with Joyce. Right?
Allison.
Joyce McCarthy. And Joyce, you're working on something just beautiful. First tell us about your name is Betty's Quilters. Can you tell us how you got your name? Who's Betty?
Exactly. We're all members of Betty's Quilters. And we have a little bit of a history because it goes back about 22 years from, let's say, 1999, 2000. It makes us feel historical now. The time is going by. But it's probably one of the longest groups that have stayed together in our history because there were quilting groups where they had lessons even through the Eastern Learning Center in the 70s and in the 80s. And they had people giving instruction to the ladies here. And but I don't think it was a continuous group that kept together, for a while. But the tradition has always been in our heritage, and people would quilt with their mothers and their grandmothers and their aunts and learn the tradition. As did getting to the reason why we're called Betty's Quilters. Well, at the time, about 20 years ago, we had a lady named Betty Montgomery Tremblay. She was an excellent quilter. She'd been doing it for years. And she took the initiative and she got together with her cousin, Beverly Montgomery McKinley. And actually, Beverly is still with us. She's our coordinator, and we're lucky to still have her with us to guide us. And they reached out to the ladies in the community to see if there was an interest in forming a group, because there hadn't been one in a while. And of course, there was a lot of interest, and we got together. And I can remember, you know, they showed us a lot, and there was a lot to learn. It was all beginners. And, you know, whether it was choosing your colors or choosing your machine or how to adjust to the machine, there were a lot of things to learn. And then all the techniques that were there. And they were very good at showing us, because they had experience. They had aunts and people showing them at the time. And so we did learn a lot that year. And I can remember the first little quilt I made at the end of the first year, and it was just, I was just so proud of that quilt, and I couldn't believe that I made it, you know, and I think everybody had the same feeling, you know, and we were anxious to come back the next year and keep going, and we've been keeping going. We still have a group now, and the next year when we did come back, unfortunately, Betty fell ill, and she wasn't able to be with us all the time. And we worked on our own, and Beverly continued with us. And we decided, like they did traditionally, to make a quilt to give her. So we made a quilt, and she certainly appreciated it, because she taught us how to do it. I mean, we were proud of ourselves, and she, you know, it was really nice. Sadly, she passed away the next year. And that was when we had a consensus. We decided we are going to name our group Betty's Quilters. And Beverly had little cards made, and we all had her name on a card, and we were official. We were Betty's Quilters. And to this day, I think Betty's legacy is still with us. In our group, we still have beginners, you know, that come, and we're all experienced. We've all been here for, you know, several years, and so if somebody new comes, they get good instruction, and they get help from everybody. And it's a nice activity to belong to, because it's social, and we love to get together and share our information. We help each other. We help. We provide inspiration, and it's always fun. We meet on Mondays between 9 and 3 at the Municipal Hall, which has excellent facilities. We have a big room where there's 20 tables. We put our machine on the tables, and we have a good day of working together. And every week we're encouraged to, we're anxious to see what people made, because there's always somebody that's finished their project, and we ooh and ah, and it's always exciting, and we get more ideas from each other. So we also have another event that we have each year is an exhibition. And unfortunately, in the last couple of years, COVID has interrupted our plans, and we're hoping this year to be able to, you know, get that tradition going. And we think it'll be in the fall, but that will be determined when we go back in September for our next session.
Well, it's a wonderful community initiative in the spirit of how quilting bees were carried out in the community. And I just was wondering, what is the pattern that you're working on right now?
Well, there are different names for it. One that I remember is called the Lone Star. And it's a tricky quilt to make because of the fine, it's got diamond shapes. And when you know, there are many points in quilting, and you have to put the points together, and it's hard to get them all lined up. And one important step in quilting is that once you've cut out your material and you know how the pattern's going to be, you have to press just about every little piece that you cut out, and once you sew it, you press it, and that helps to line it up as well, you know. So there are other names. I'm not sure if we had other names that we used, but it is a star. A star is a favorite pattern to do, and you often see this pattern in smaller parts, smaller blocks, or it's taking up the whole quilt in this case.
As soon as you step away, it's really impressive. Even on the camera, like it's almost like the effect emerges as you step away from it. Like, oh, it's the colors, just the interplay is so wonderful.
At a distance, you do have to see a quilt from a distance. And if anyone has a chance to come to our exhibition, we're going to have 3 years worth of quilts to show in our next exhibition. You walk into the hall and it just adorns. I mean, they're all hung all over the hall, and it's a beautiful sight, and you get to see them from a distance, and you get to see the real pattern. It's really quite spectacular.
I noticed in like activities like knitting and stuff, more younger people are getting interested. A lot of my friends took up knitting. Is that anything happened like that in quilting?
Yes.
Have you noticed?
Well, the quilters may, some of the girls do a little bit of quilting, but there is a special group. Actually, I've heard it occurs here in this building, and once a week the ladies get together, and there's a lady that shows beginners how to quilt.
I know in our area the Lemoyne Star is called the Lemon Star. Yeah, Lemoyne and Lemon Star. So I wondered if you. Yeah, I would assume that different regions have the same name for quilts. But have you ever heard of this? Someone told me once that quilters would always leave a mistake in a quilt because only God is perfect.
There's usually more than one mistake. And it depends on how you feel, but they're usually very difficult to spot. It's a tiny thing, and when you're first starting, you want to be perfect, and you'll take it out, and we have what is there saying? It's a 50-50 principle where you you sew and then you take the 50% out because you made a mistake. That happens too, but that's okay. I think that happens to everybody.
Yeah. Well, I spoke to another quilter and she said, no way would anybody try to make a mistake, although mistakes are in there. They wouldn't purposely do something like that. So, yeah.
And some people have their own little signature. They always have a little heart, or they always put something in that identifies them. And
do you do that, your group?
Not necessarily. Some of us do and some of us don't. It depends on who it's for too. We all sign our quilts. That's a tradition.
That's nice. And who do you have working with you today?
Yes, I'd like you to meet Louise Hicks Murphy, who's been in the group for many years and was in previous groups as well before with your mother. Some of these squares were made by Louise and her mother. And on my right we have Michelle McBain.
Hi, Michelle.
She's been with our group for a long time.
Since the beginning.
Since the beginning.
Yes.
And Michelle is very skilled now with embroidery, because now with the new machines you can get a combination of quilting and embroidery. And so she does beautiful work combining the two together. So that's
it's beautiful work you're doing in the very fine details of quilts that people don't often see when they first see a pattern, but if you look very, very closely, you see all of this kind of work, the quilting work and the stitching.
The work that goes into it. It is time consuming, there's no question about it.
But well worth it to the person that sees it and the person that uses it and wraps themselves in it. Because the quilts and love sort of all go together, don't they?
And another thing that we do on a regular basis is an altruistic project, which is making quilts for people that are in hospitals or for a good cause, and we've often made Linus quilts for the hospitals and donate them, and the Valor, the fallen soldiers,
that's beautiful and well done, and you enrich the community just by what you do, and in that. And thank you so much, Joyce, and to Michelle, and to you too, Louise. Thank you very much.
Everyone. Really appreciate that.
Okay, thank you for including us.
And on we go to the next part of the show.
John Nielsen. I wonder if we can find him.
Well, I'll go hunt down John Nielsen, and we're going to have a tour with the archives. Here we go. This is live.
Yeah, bear with us a moment here. We're going to go find Valcartier's founder.
Oh, boy.
Mr. John Nielsen.
That's fun.
You know what? I'm just going to show you while we're here, let's go look at the booths.
All
Oh, here's
right.
Mr. John Nielsen.
There we go. Finally, voila. We're going to have a nice tour with you. I know Glenn is just showing everybody the tables that we have set up.
Pass Mr. Nielsen the baton there, Heather.
Yes, here we go. You can do
Right.
that.
Go look in the office.
Yep,
That's exactly where I'm about to go.
Would you show them our wonderful offices, Mr.
Absolutely, yes. Come this way. Follow the guide. Follow the guide. Always wanted to say that. What happened, and Debbie mentioned it earlier, is that we had the opportunity to have a better location with the new building a few years ago, 2017. And when they designed the building, they asked us before building it what they wanted. So we said we want office, we want storage, but we do not go for what they call museum quality. We don't have atmospheric control and all that. It's basically to keep something safe, but if it was to be of extreme value that needed to be kept in special vaults, we would not be equipped for that. So basically we needed office space, storage space. Office makes sense, usual typical office, except that we tend to have, we put a bit more emphasis on electronic equipment to have recordings because we have projects of recording stories and all that. And so, and as well with scanners, proper scanners, because we wanted people to bring us copies of their photos so we could make a scan and give them back to the people. At first, people did not know what we wanted. When we started to ask people, bring us your photos, they wanted to know why. What kind of photos? And then when we started to do this and they saw that we were interested in the building behind as well as the wedding in the front and that sort of thing, so a lot of people came with photos. So we needed to have proper scanning equipment for that. And as you can imagine, we're going to have things in the clouds and stuff like that. Like all the, you heard today, all the societies, all the communities, they're looking into the electronics. But it's pretty basic when you look at around here. It doesn't look like a big studio or anything like that. Books, references, photos, all around. We tend to keep them as simply as they're displayed there, right? The other side is what we call the archives, which is...
And there's a bit of your story in the other room, I believe.
A bit of our story just about everywhere.
Can you close that door, Heather, over there?
Yes, sure.
I'm going to come on this side of you.
Yes. There was in Sainte-Foy, as we were doing the 2016 year of the settlers, there was in Sainte-Foy an exhibit on John Nielsen. So one of the things we organize during the year is to have a bus and bring people to the exhibit. And they had those sort of displays that they so nicely decided to trust us with. So officially, they probably still own this thing, but basically we took what was left of that could not be returned because those, as you can imagine, those exhibits are made with things on loans and stuff like that that were returned. But the displays, among them, the house that we have in Valcartier or the monument where I'm buried, they were all explained. They also explained that John Nielsen was the first to introduce the newspaper in Quebec, which is now the Quebec Chronicle Telegraph. In 1763, his uncle hires him, and a few years later, he takes over. And the Quebec Chronicle Telegraph still exists today, still is the oldest English newspaper in America. And so we took photos of with the T-shirt of the Quebec Chronicle Telegraph and John Nielsen at Fall Fest and the like. So all these connections were established there and kept.
And we call this your house, but you never lived here, did you?
No. I had a farm near Sainte-Foy, where there's a road called Nielsen, where the Compagnons de Quartier, that area there. And we also visited that area. There's a shopping center, and my house used to be close by and that sort of thing. No, we were four who joined in an effort to buy these from the Crown and sell them in lots. One of them was a notary lawyer for the paperwork. Another one was a Wendake because they had surveyed this area. They knew the area. And so I had never lived here. I chose the place with, of course, I had a keen eye for those sort of things because I was also a farmer, had a farm in Sainte-Foy. I even won an award for the furloughs. I invented a type of equipment. I did all sorts of things like that, plus being a member of parliament.
Of course, you knew the Honorable Papineau.
Of course. And there were, you can imagine, I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but at some point, the there was a group sent to London to try to explain the situation, and I was part of that. I was pro-French Canadians. In a nutshell, there were people who wanted to claim the land from the French Canadians who had been there for 150 years, sometimes more, and saying that we won, therefore we should sell you back your own farm. And I was highly against that. I thought we should be a society of merchants. We would sell them the equipment. We would sell them what they needed. We would help them settle, but we would not sell them back their own land. We figured they had deserved it. But you can imagine the debates that happened in those times. Again, look in the books or check with this guy I heard about, Google. Mr. Google apparently knows all these answers. And I've always kept asking people in 2016, who is this Mr. Google? But eventually, that's a good source of reference, I'm told. So in this, back to the Saint-Gabriel-de-Valcartier Society, or committee. We're not a society, we are a committee, historical committee. We started to attract attention of people who wanted to give us, you've seen it, archives, papers, history. But also, for instance, take a look at this. The first Boy Scouts. They were in Valcartier, attached to or very close to the military base. The leaders were militaries or ex-militaries, and they had a collection of all the paraphernalia of being a scout at the time. And we inherited all this. We probably will want to put that in displays on a more permanent basis. But Andrew Jones, Mr. Jones, was the leader of this and made sure that we get the past, because it was quite different from the other areas. They were left at the community center for a while, and eventually we decided, well, we need to preserve them. Again, this is not the kind of material you'd preserve in extraordinary conditions, like museum conditions, but for our closer past, it's ideal. So we have the displays, we had these cabinets made for this. Wow. We had, for instance, this central unit has those big drawers that will allow us to keep maps or grand style. And sometimes military equipment, well, you've heard of Mr. Wolf, right?
Yeah, speaking of military.
Mr. Wolf,
yes.
You have to explain to me, or to them, because I know that already. You can imagine, I sent an invitation. And Waterloo has been fought in 1815. Mm-hmm. The militaries don't want to keep those big armies together. They start dismantling the armies, promising their soldiers for lands and opportunities like that here. So you are sent to claim your land here.
Yeah, I was. Thank you very much, Mr. Nissel. I was sent here, well, in 1821, for claiming some land. Now, in 1821, what I did is I claimed some land, but I had to go back to Halifax to be shipped in another war. So it came back at 1824, when everything was calmed down. So the British military wanted to cut down on the forces. So they offer us some agreement to release with half of our pay, or be shipped into another country like India. Because since I was a foreigner to the British, because I'm German.
I thought I detected a little accent.
Yeah, it's
born in Germany.
Well, technically, it was in Germany at the time.
Ah, before 1848.
Yes. So it was 1824. Sorry, I was born technically. Well, okay, I'll go back.
Start at the beginning. You were very young.
Very young. Yeah, very young. And I was born in 17. Let me remind me. Oh, Jesus, memory. 1761. So yes. And then from then on, my father passed away in the battle of the Lake Constance. And then people were saying that I was adopted by a British Army officer. That's not true. I was adopted by an Austrian Army officer who, kind of married one of his daughter later on. Anna was a good woman. Was a very good woman.
Yeah, wait, cut to the chase.
Okay.
What brings you here?
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I got to go back. So in 24, I was back in Halifax, and they were supposed to send me to Quebec by ship, but they said, well, there's no ship, so we'll send you by foot. So I walked from Halifax with some of my men, and since we had already bought some land or got some land, and we walked through here and took our pension here. And then, well, it was a few guys with me, but the name after 200 years, I can't remember. But still, it was a good place. It was hard though.
And you have a lot of descendants here still
I
today.
do have a lot of descendants. Yes, I do have, and some still here. I mean, the progress. They made more babies.
All right.
Yeah, so that's
Trying to be polite.
Yeah, try to be polite.
What does you do when you
multiplied?
Don't have TV, right?
Yeah, well, see, now you got TVs, you got radios and stuff like that. We didn't have that thing back then. I mean,
Keeps you busy.
Yeah, we have to
And
be
warm.
and warm too. Yes,
Right.
yes. And so, still, some of the descendants are here, and they love the place, and we love the place. And I'm glad they stayed here, because it would have been sad. It's a beautiful country.
God's country.
Yes, it is. It was a hardship at the beginning, I tell you, because moving here, there was swamp, there was rock, there was trees. I mean, there was a lot of things to do, a lot of building to do. But by the river, oh, it's so beautiful. It was peaceful.
There were varieties of trees here.
Oh, yes.
And I remember that my original offer, the first tree to come in would be given free land, shares in the mill that would cut the planks, and we would finance the acquisition of equipment and the seeds for the first years and all that. So it was tough, but we did what we could to get it started. And at the time, I don't know if you remember that, because you were not there, but in 1816 is the year without summer.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, there was a big eruption of a volcano, and it really covered with ashes all of our section of the world. It went all around the world. And what happened is that we had hardly any crops in 1816. They said the year without summer. So we had to move from one winter without any more crops to the second winter. And there was no insurance for that sort of thing. So it was very, very hard for the first few years. And it happens to be when we start here. So they never had it easy here, except there were good opportunities in wood, for instance, and access to the river, because they used the river to come all the way here and provide the supplies and all that. And it was tough, very tough for the first years. After that, it starts to get a bit better, but it really remains hard because of the type of soil we have here. On one side, it's mostly sand, on the other, it depends on the sun and all that. So at the end of the day, eventually what will transform, and we're moving in time, is when they started to develop turkey farming. And you're looking at the century after.
You still see that today here.
Yeah, but what happened is that the original turkeys they had here, those sort of wild turkeys and all that, was very difficult to do. But somebody went to California and found out they had a different type of turkey that was much easier to have, and they started to import those and to build big and bigger farms using those kind of turkeys. And now Valcartier is the area where they produce the most of the turkeys for all the eastern coast of both Canada and the United States.
Wow.
The problem now that we're starting to face, it's very concerned, is the avian flu has hit us.
Of course.
So far for 5 people. So there's a bit of stress and concern about that, because we are, I wouldn't say exposed. If you look at our facilities, it's all top-of-the-line facilities to keep the birds inside, precisely because it was built for that, just in case. But we have it. So it became a bit better, not so much because of the land as much as of the agriculture or the cultures we adopted. Turkeys could be here. There was an old saying that the Irish here, when they needed money, would sell sand, because our mountain is in sand. Very good quality sand, mind you. But if you were short on money, you could just sell the sand and get a bit of cash to survive. Truth or fiction, you'll be the judge of that. I'm only a memory.
Speaking of which, we have your friend, Mr. Todd, living down by the river. He was going to tell us another story. I wonder if we could go find him.
We certainly will.
Let's go find him.
Follow the funny hat.
Mr. Neil?
Yes?
Have you talked about the relationship we have? our family.
Not at all.
Are you guys related?
Well, that's related to by our granddaughter and grandson. My grandson married his granddaughter, so that's some kind of relation we had. But that was in let me remind. Was it in 1843? I think something like that. I can't.
And I believe there's a picture of all your descendants together.
Yes.
You and all your many descendants.
Oh yes, for sure. There's a lot of them, and I'm glad. The names continue on. It lives on.
Is the wolf name still around in Valcartier?
It still on.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. It does, and you'll find some on the what we call now the Fifth Avenue. Sorry, Boulevard Valcartier.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
here
Mr.
we
Todd.
are, Mr. Todd. I was
you-
promised a story about something that. Well, we were talking about the river, but you had a couple stories.
Yes, well, my name is George Todd, and back in the 1800s, a lot of things happened around here because people were confronted with the elements. There were no roads. They had to cross the river with little canoes and little boats and ferries and little things like that, scows they call them. And because of that, because of the fact that the roads weren't accessible, people did things that were a bit dangerous, but unacceptable today. For example, Michael Corrigan in the 1800s went to school across the river. And basically what he did is he would walk across the ice from his home and go to school, and then in the evening he would walk back across the ice to go to his home. Now we have to remember that the children often in the summertime did not go to school because they were working on a farm, working for the harvest, and working for other things. So basically the wintertime was a better time to go to school. So he one morning he crosses the river and he decides that this is a beautiful day and everything's fine. He goes to school. The teacher, Anne McGrory, who was teaching about 20 students at that time, did her day's work, and Michael Corrigan walks back to the river, and all of a sudden the weather changed and the ice broke. So Michael Corrigan could not cross the river. So what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So he ran back to the school, and he went to see the teacher. Luckily, she was still there, and she said, don't worry, you can come and live at our home. And he went to their home, and he stayed there for one night, and then he stayed there for 2 nights, and then he stayed there for 3 nights. And finally, the weather being what it was, and the parents didn't know where he was, though. Somehow they got around to knowing he was there. So he finally got back to his parents' place, and he was quite amazed because he said to his parents, he says, this is amazing. He says, they have piped-in water and flushing toilets. So, that's how things were back then. It was no electricity. Yeah, it's another world. Water was piped in by gravity most of the time, or with a pump. But there was no electric pump. There was no.
And that was often common. One part of a small, township would get electricity or water before everyone else.
Exactly.
It could be 15 years before the back ranges got the same services.
Exactly. Yeah. And then we also have Walter Knox, who used to court Gwenny Brown, and she lived across the river. So he had the same dilemma. So what he'd do in the summertime, he'd take his clothes off, bundle them up with his shoes and everything, and put them on top of his head, and he'd walk across the river with water probably up to his neck. And then he'd dress up and go visit his girlfriend and Gwenny, and then in the evening he'd come back. However, Wilfred Goodfellow dated Lily, Walter's sister. So he did the opposite. He would cross on the other side of the river and take his clothes off, bundle them up, and go court Lily, and then in the evening he would come back, did the same thing, same procedure. And often both men would cross paths. So 2 naked men crossing the river with bundles on their head. And the story finishes well because each guy married his sweetheart. So everything was fine. So
even love in this community was based in the river somehow.
Oh, the river was always there, and either it was overflowing, the current was too strong, there was lumber in the river, there was salmon in the river, and there was no salmon in the river because they built a dam down the road, down to Cartier and Shannon. And the river played a big part on everything, and canoeing and getting around. So, yes, but the flooding was the hard part, I think, and not having the right roads right away and these roads were eventually built. But I think they discovered what happened, when the rivers overflowed. Oh my God, maybe we're not in the right spot.
They were learning, and we saw that in the map presentation.
As they went
too.
along, they were learning as they went along. Sometimes, they didn't really know what was happening. And as you know, flooding does not occur necessarily every year at the same level. And those big floods happen every 25, 30 years. And those are very, very dangerous. So I guess they didn't see those coming either, probably.
Yeah.
And but they anticipated floods, but maybe not that size of a flood.
Right.
So there's a lot of stories. People, first settlers around here, planting potatoes around stumps. Stumps took 5 to 10 years to rot. So you pull the stumps, you burn the stumps, you do all kinds of things to get rid of them. Get rid of rocks too. Pick up the rocks and get them out of the way. So all these things, having a cow. The first settlers did not have horses; they had oxen, because the oxen can get a maneuver in the bush without hurting themselves, and the horses get hurt. So they had oxen to start off. So that's the way they first started out. So it's a rough life living in log cabins. If you look at the census records, especially in 1861, you'll see that most people lived in the log houses. And there was the odd stone house, a lot of log houses, some frame houses starting, and occasionally a shanty. People would live in the ground, in a log cabin in the ground. But those shanties and log houses became outbuildings as people built more modern homes, and they used them for stables or storing grain or whatever. And they became sheds, basically.
Now, these were, hardy people, but I guess in their spare time, music was a big part of their lives.
Yes, they would travel long distances especially in the wintertime. They had sleighs that went well. Otherwise, they'd use horses and they'd walk. And whether it was raining or not, they'd go out on Saturday night, go out to the dance, and they'd have all these fiddlers and accordions and doing all that stuff.
Yeah,
it was quite interesting. And that those were the good times for them, and the rest of the time it was always work. Either you go to church or you work. So you get that little odd interlude to have fun and have a little drink of poitín or whiskey or whatever they were drinking.
Now you play a bit of music yourself, so I think I think they're getting ready to play some music out there. And
yes, because otherwise will it be Sunday?
That's true. Boy, you can't play the devil's music on Sunday.
That's right. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Todd. Mr. Nielsen?
You expected.
I am sure I am.
I told you about an invitation that I sent in 1816.
Oh, yes.
Take a look. Take a look at this.
We're locked in, we're locked out.
That's what it looked like.
Let's see if I can get in without too much reflection.
Ah, that's your problem, not mine.
Oh, I almost got, we can see some text here. There it is. And this was your newspaper.
That was my newspaper, and that's 12th of January, 1816. Application to be made immediately or by letter, including sufficient recommendation for sobriety in industry, to J. Nielsen, Esquire of Quebec.
Perfect. Amazing. Well, thank you for inviting these people out here, because their descendants a lot of them are with us today, and we're having such a good time.
They didn't do too bad with my little idea, didn't they?
No, they did very well.
Take a look at this now. Time for music.
Mr. Nielsen, I gotta go back to attend another party.
Sorry?
I gotta attend another party. I'll have to...
The problem with those militaries is so much in demand. That's the prestige of the uniform.
Society people.
Ah, society people.
But it's been such a pleasure getting to hear your story, Mr. Wolf. Thank you for sharing it. You came a long way.
Oh, thank you.
Halifax or Bavaria, I'm not sure where, but...
Well, I was born in Baden, so and then moved across, did a few war in there, and so, well...
Further than Scotland.
Yes. But they certainly keep them busy.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Merci beaucoup.
Auf Wiedersehen. Auf Wiedersehen.
All right.
Thank you.
I need Allison now. Help me with the hi, Allison.
We're ready to.
Well, yeah. Where should we put this camera? All right.
Okay, everyone. We're back into the melee, and we're going to have our exciting musical presentation begin very, very soon. We just have to get the eye of Debbie Shakur to get everybody to start playing. So this is an important part of this community, is that the gathering of people together in kitchens and playing musical numbers with one another without any music at all. Everyone seems to know the music and they've learned it and passed it on from generation to generation. So we're going to meet some really great musicians today, and we're also going to feature our own Glenn Patterson, who's going to be accompanying the Valcartier musicians that we'll be meeting. And without further ado, I'm going to be passing this over to Debbie. We're going to give Debbie a mic so she can introduce everybody.
I'll have to share your mic.
Okay.
We'll do it with this one.
Okay, sounds good. Debbie can start introducing everybody, and we'll be ready to go. And I see there's a banner that's almost in the frame, so we'll make sure we move that. Yep, thank you. Hang on, everyone. Yeah, thank you. Well, this is live. Yep. There we go. Okay, Debbie, we can, if you want to start talking and getting everybody. Yep, we're going to get you. You need this mic?
So everyone can have a seat. Unless you're going to play music with us. Anyone standing has to play. I know that Glenn will, oh yes, Allison, you too. I know that Glenn is going to come join us at some point, but we're going to go ahead and get started with the tune. And we are so informal here. If you need to go get a drink of some, well, not of anything, but sorry, a drink of water or something, or if anyone does have to leave before we're done, we don't mind. We won't take offense if you walk out the door. Yeah. So before we do any introductions, why don't we just start with the tune, and then we'll introduce people. How's that? Should we have a little waltz here, Wesley?
Yeah, we'll play country waltz.
Country waltz. This is, we're sitting in someone's kitchen, playing a little music, having a little practic, as we say sometimes. Usually it's over at Brian's house there. He invites us over to go play in the old Caesar's Palace, which we'll talk about in a bit. If you don't know what Caesar's Palace is, don't get your hopes up. It's completely different.
It's not in Las Vegas.
Yeah. It's not in Las Vegas, yeah. It's on that map, basically. So, you know, we just, whoever's around are the people that can show up and play, and this is who's around today. So let me introduce people to you. To my right is Tess LeBlanc. There we go, Tess. Tess hails from New Brunswick, but here has been in Quebec for ever. And Tess is going to be sharing some of her songs. And of course, because New Brunswick and Quebec and Valcartier, we all get mixed up in cultures. Some might be in French, some might be in English, and some might even be in Gaelic.
Never know.
You never know what's going to come out of Tess there, so never mind. You all know who I am here. I am a very beginner violinist, fiddler. I don't even say violinist, fiddler. And these guys have been so good, Eric Corrigan, Eddie Whalen when he was still alive, Wesley, of teaching me some of the repertoire here. So all the false notes, those are mine. I claim them, I love them, because I used to only be able to catch one note a tune.
I want a couple of them for myself, though.
Oh, you're reserving a few for yourself? Yeah. But that's the way things are passed on. They've got to come, this is all music that's not written down, it comes through the generations, and we need people learning the tunes, even if they're not very good on the violin. So that's why I'm here, okay? You'll see me playing very quietly sometimes. That's okay. Believe me, that's a good thing. Wesley McCoubry has...
I never did another tune.
Right
People
here
just
from the
get fired
village
up.
here. Yeah. And Wesley learned a lot of his material from Bernie Monahan. When he first started playing the accordion, Bernie graciously taught him a lot of the tunes from here. And then he's expanded to include the Valcartier tunes as well as the tunes from Quebec, the French Canadian, the tunes from here. And Bernie himself learned a lot of tunes from maybe the Verettes before that. And they learned from maybe Telesphore, I think, the phone. Yeah. So this is coming down through our whole big community. And fortunately, this music is still alive here, and we're very grateful for that. So Wesley's got a repertoire of about 5 million tunes. We won't go through all of them today.
Take off a zero.
Just one, though, but we won't go through them all today. And of course, Glenn from QAHN is filling in on guitar. And are you going to just do guitar? Are you going to do a little?
Guitar.
Just guitar today?
I'm going to let the master play the accordion.
We had hoped to have James Allen with us today, but he's under the weather. And to pitch in to help on guitar, we've got George Todd and Danny Stewart, a.k.a. Danny Stewart, and Glenn Patterson are here to back us up. And we're very glad to have that backup. So, very informal. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Why don't we go ahead and go right into another tune? And this one, we call it Whalen's tune. Really, there are a couple of tunes that the Montagnards used to play. You probably remember the Montagnards on the radio in, what, the 40s, 50s maybe?
50s,
Yeah. But we call him Whalen's tune because Eddie Whalen and his brothers used to play these tunes. And when Eddie would play with us, we always started the sessions with Whalen's tune. So, would get together in each other's kitchens, in each other's living rooms, wherever they could, and they'd have these house parties. And everyone had their own little repertoire. And so you never sang someone else's song, you never played someone else's tune. And what they would do would invite each other, and they'd say, well, you're on the hot seat, and that was your turn to do your song, or your tune to do your tune. And so we're going to follow that format here. And I'm going to start right now by putting Tess on the hot seat. Who's going to share with us a song from here? Is that what you're going to sing?
I am. I'm actually going to sing a song that people from both Valcartier and Shannon learned in the lumber woods. And I'm going to need your help on the chorus, so please join in, dust off voices and join in. And I learned it off a cassette that Magella Murphy had recorded, and it was one of these Mr. Cack. I'm not sure which one I was saying it. So here we go. It's the Lumberman's Alphabet. Now, gosh, I hope, where is Helen Bureau? She's going to send me back to kindergarten. Hopefully I remember the alphabet. So, A is for X's into the woods ring, and B is the boys who do the mouse swing. C is the chopping, and now must begin, and D is the danger we all do stand in.
So merry, so merry, so merry are we, no mortal on earth are as happy as we. Eatery, idery, ordery down, keep the shanty boys well, and there's nothing goes wrong.
E is the echo into the woods ring, and F is a foreman, the boss of the gang. G is the grindstone, so slick and so smooth. H is the handle that swiftly does move. Oh,
so merry, so merry, so merry are we, no mortal on earth are as happy as we. Eatery, idery, ordery down, keep the shanty boys well, and there's nothing goes wrong.
I is the iron that marks out the pine, and J is the jobber who's never behind. K is the keen edge our axes do keep. L is the lice that keeps us from sleep.
Oh, so merry, so merry, so merry are we, no mortal on earth are as happy as we. Eatery, idery, ordery down, keep the shanty boys well, and there's nothing goes wrong.
M is the moss we puts in our camps, and N is the needle that mends our old pants. O is the owl that hoots in the night. P is the pine we fell with delight. Ho!
So merry, so merry, so merry are we, no mortal on earth are as happy as we. Eatery, idery, ordery down, keep the shanties boys well, and there's nothing goes wrong.
Q stands for quarreling we never allow, and R is the river we run our logs down. S is the sleigh so stout and so strong, and T is the team that hauls in the logs.
So merry, so merry, so merry are we, no mortal on earth are as happy as we. Eatery, idery, ordery down, keep the shanty boys well, and there's nothing goes wrong.
U is the uses we puts our teams to, and V is the valley we run our roads through. W's the woods we leave in the spring, and now I have sung all I'm going to sing.
So merry, so merry, so merry are we, no mortal on earth are happy as we. Eatery, idery, ordery down, keep the shanty boys well, and there's nothing goes wrong.
There are 3 more letters I can't get to rhyme, so if you can tell me, please tell me in time. The cars are loaded, the whistle has blew. Now I'll be off with me old shanty crew.
Oh, so merry, so merry, so merry are we, no mortal on earth are as happy as we. Eatery, idery, ordery down, keep the shanty boys well, and there's nothing goes wrong.
I think I passed kindergarten.
You did.
I've made it all the way through the alphabet.
First time she's ever made it all the way
Did
through.
you ever?
Yeah.
Very good.
So, hot seat. Jumping over here to Wesley. What you got for us, Wesley?
Okay, well, I'll play a tune I learned from Bernie Monahan. One of the first ones that he taught me. This is back in
Oh, yeah,
about
that's good.
40 years ago.
Oh, man.
So My Love is But a Lassie. Beautiful. That's a Scottish tune, yeah.
house parties too, there were two dances that they did in the village here. One was called the set dance and one was the lancer. And the set had 6 parts, I think the lancer had 5 parts. Everybody knew the dances, so they were not called. When I first moved here, I just thought it was genetically encoded into the population. And they sometimes would have the same tunes that they played for different parts of this, and sometimes it was a definite set. You always played this tune for that part. And sometimes they had a little bit of an argument. For instance, I want to get to the first of the set there, the one that goes A, B, A, C there. So this is one they played for the first part of the set. And a lot of these fiddle tunes have an A part and a B part. Well, this one you're going to hear it has an A part, a B part, goes back to the A part, and then there's another part. And that's because Willie Shea played the B part one way, and Harold Catt played the B part another way. And to avoid arguments, which I'm sure there were 1 or 2 in your day there, Pauline, yes? What they did is they just played it A, B, A, C. So this was the first of the set played to keep the community happy in that way. So let's go ahead and do that. Just imagine the dancers. The Lancer was done in a square. The set was done in a long line of couple facing couple, so you could have as many people as you want. And when they had a long space, that worked really well. But when they were dancing, for instance, over in what we refer to as Caesar's Palace, this would have been when and they did Caesar's, in 70s, 80s was Caesar Palace time.
In the 80s.
Because Brian's family had moved to Ontario and left the house abandoned. And it was kind of taken over as the party house here with Leonard and Barbara would have dues over at Caesar, and jokingly, because you had to use a bucket for the facility, so it was not Caesar's Palace of Las Vegas. But jokingly, someone made a sign one night and pinned it up that said Caesar's Palace, and the name stuck. That was it was an old house, very small, and so they had to dance the long set, but they did it in a square, which meant you had to do twice of everything. And I know Keith Corrigan used to complain. He said it takes twice as long to get through the thing. You have to play everything twice. But they'd also have waltzes. And it was a wonderful house to waltz over at Brian's, who's moved back in, has refurbished it up, and has us over for parties. So we're going to do a waltz, and Brian promised me he'd get up and waltz with all the ladies.
I'm tired already.
One after the other. And we're going to play Omer's waltz. Omer was from Stoneham and was a fiddler. Did he play fiddle, I think?
Accordion.
Accordion. He played accordion. And this is one of the waltzes that he did. So we're going to do Omer's waltz, okay?
Yeah, he played a lot of it. I don't know why that's what we call it, Omer's. I don't know who he learned it from. But
no, but we call it because that's what they did around here. If you played it, or if you liked it, or if you sang it, it was your tune.
Yeah,
so this is Omer's waltz because Omer played it.
You owned it.
Yeah.
You play it, you own it.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
You ready? Feel free to dance. Wesley. You're another one. You got yourself on the hot seat there.
He's got a book of algebra equations here.
Another of Bernie's tunes, Off She Goes. I think Brian knows that when they heard that one.
Okay. we're going to put Tess back on the hot seat here.
Yeah.
And see what she can come up with.
Well, what I'm going to come up with is when I first came to Quebec City back in 1982, one of the first people that I met happened to be Keith Corrigan, another accordion player from Valcartier. And he played this tune on his accordion that actually I knew in Scottish Gaelic, because I had just finished a year in Celtic Studies at St. X and could, as they say in fine English, baragwine there in Gaelic. So the song I'm going to sing is the tune that he played, but I'm going to sing it. And it talks about porridge. Anybody here ever eaten porridge? And it talks about thin porridge, drooly porridge, not great porridge. I don't think they're liking it. There must be like the 365th day of porridge in the year. So here we go. Brocken lum, tunnel lum, brocken lum, suine, brocken lum, tunnel lum, brocken lum, suine, brocken lum, tunnel lum, brocken lum, suine, brocken lum, shatana lum, brocken lum, suine, brocken na brocken lum, suine, brocken na brocken lum, suine, brocken na brocken lum, suine, brocken lum, shatana lum, brocken lum, suine, okay, waren dona gillen leisha brocken suine, okay, waren dona gillen leisha brocken suine, okay, waren dona gillen leisha brocken suine, brocken lum, shatana lum, brocken lum, suine, brocken na brocken lum, suine, brocken na brocken lum, suine, brocken na brocken lum, suine, brocken lum, shatana lum, brocken lum, suine. I might add, Keith used to call that Elsie's tune. Okay? Yeah, his name.
Oh, we got some.
Yeah, Elsie Prévost, Scottish lady, a Scottish war bride who lived here, and she would get up and dance to that tune.
Absolutely, yes.
So that became known as Elsie's tune. So when we're talking about Caesar's Palace, this is a CD that was put together with Keith Corrigan and Jimmy Kelly and musicologist from the States, Lisa Arnstein. Sorry, Lisa. So this is what it looked like back in the day when it was Caesar's Palace, and now it's Brian's house, but we still call it Sears. Jimmy can't be with us today. Keith has been gone for a while, but beautiful, beautiful tunes on here. And it's actually, that tune is on there, and it's called Elsie's Tune. Again, some of this music is never written down, but sometimes it's luckily to get it recorded. Eddie and Eric Corrigan, Eddie Whalen, got a CD of music from right here. We're so happy to have this recorded because when Keith died, probably we lost 100 tunes that at least probably people don't know. And just because, fair time, Tess has CDs too. So, but nobody has a CD player. I'm just showing you that we have this music down. So.
All this stuff isn't on Spotify.
It's not on Spotify, no, but you can spot it here at the Historic Committee offices.
Maybe the Historic Committee can put it up on Bandcamp.
It's a good idea.
Sorry, just a project for the fall.
So, just for those who are not from this village to know that this is a small little Anglophone or English-speaking community amidst the bigger Francophone community. And the music from right here came from Ireland, it came from Scotland, but it also came from the French roots. And it all got mushed and morphed together so that tunes from this area, sometimes they're not played anymore in Ireland, they're not played anywhere else, they're just played right here. And so we've got those influences that come around. So it's a very unique little valley that has these beautiful tunes, and our Allison put together a wonderful little video, tunes of music of echoes of a fine-tuned valley that you can find on the Quan site because it was done in relation to them too. It talks about the music from here, and here in our village we had not only the Irish and Scottish influences, we had a lot of country singers here, and there was a big country show every year for years. That they would do, and people would come back, and Roger would lead everybody in country singing. And over in Shannon, the Irish Shannon show has gone on for how many? Over 50.
55 years this year.
55 this year. Oh. So we have not only the singers, the musicians, but also the dancers carrying on this music here. So we're going to do, maybe let's do some tunes from right here, like maybe either Uncle Pat's the second, what does he do, the second balance, first balance, or Pat's second balance, or
Pat's second
Hillary's,
balance,
Hillary's
yeah,
tune, or
Yeah.
Harold, what do you want to do?
Pat's second balance, yeah.
Yeah, is that a good one to do from right here?
For the
This
part of the set
part of
there,
the set,
second and first ballad.
and some of these tunes that we call, that's Pat's second balance. It might have a name somewhere else in the world, but here it's called Pat's second balance. Yeah, we don't know. What's going to happen? Well, of course.
My doctor's not around, is he? Oh, good.
Your two new hips are doing just fine.
My two hips are doing okay, good.
Well, and that's just say in addition to the set dance, and in addition to the lancer, people would do this kind of step dancing, and they would get in a circle in the kitchen, and one would come in the middle, do a step and go out, and another would come into the middle, a step and go out. And they learn from each other. So this one would say, oh, I like that step, I'm going to throw that one in. And they'd have these little step dances in the middle. So shout out to Larry Hamilton over there in Germany if he's watching, because he's our step dancer there. What do you want to play for us now? What your choice here?
The Lancer, the second part, and the fourth part of the Lancer.
You want to do that?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
The first part
if
is
anyone can remember how to dance a Lancer, the floor
Made on
is
the
yours.
Green, yeah. And the other one is the Haste to the Wedding.
Oh, and these are standard tunes. They played the standard tunes here too, so that's good. Yep. another waltz and see if we can convince someone to dance. No names mentioned here. I'd like to do Bonnie Irish Boy.
Yeah, okay.
Les? Laddie?
Yeah.
Who's Bonnie in Ireland? Bonnie Irish what? Bonnie Irish Boy?
That's in Scotland. That's the Scottish
Bonnie
tune.
Irish Boy, it's a Scottish
Bonnie,
tune.
yeah.
I told you, all mushed together here. And then
Yeah.
followed by Pot of Shamrocks. Okay?
That one there.
I think so, is that it? Does that go into Pot of Shamrocks after?
That one there.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Francine. Because what's a waltz without a waltz? No.
Yeah.
Waltzers. And actually, that waltz, we chose that one for a reason. Because, Tess, tell them why we chose that one for a reason.
Well, because Little Pot of Shamrocks is probably one of the first songs that I learned from people in Shannon, but it was also sung here, and it was sung, it actually, if hot seated, it would have belonged to Rosemary, Corrick, and Bowles. And then I had a sort of an amazing thing happen after my grandmother had passed away, and I was going through with my uncle. That would have been in Antigonish County in Nova Scotia. And I was going through her things, or we were looking at stuff. We found this old letter dated back 1844. And imagine, the words were, "Oh, Grandma, here's a present, and it came addressed to you." It was Little Pot of Shamrocks that had been sent by an Irish woman from Montreal to my grandmother's people dated 1844. So it would have been just after they moved from Ireland, and it's a very nostalgic piece. And I just thought it was interesting that I had this connection to, there was sort of like a family link there. So I was going to sing this for you. The other thing that I noticed is that they talk about F-U-R-Z-E in the letter, the words that were sent to my grandmother's people, or to my ancestors, but here in one of the copies I received, it was F-I-R-S, and it makes sense because I didn't have a clue what F-U-R-Z-E, I know what F-I-R-S is. F-U-R-Z-E are these little brush type plants in Ireland, but firs, oh, I know what that looks like, just like everybody else around here. So I thought that was interesting. Here we go. I'm going to sing a couple of verses because, oh, Grandma, here's a present and it came addressed to you. It's a little pot of shamrocks and it came a distance too. came from dear old Ireland, and the Cartier mansions more. They were gathered round your birth, my son, the banks of Avonmore. Oh, I see them as I saw them as a girl like you I stood. Amidst the firs and heather stands a chapel, hill and wood. The altar clad in ivy ran the river's winding shore, and the boys and girls all playing on the banks of Avonmore. And I could go on, there's many other verses, but I will stop there for today.
So we're going to do one last hot seat for Wesley, and then we'll end on, we always end on a waltz. So we'll end on a waltz, and I expect everybody up dancing for the last waltz. And when would you like to have a last goodbye? After, just before the waltz, or just after?
After.
After?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll come back over there and we'll,
And do the
we'll sign
wrap up?
off.
Sign off?
Yeah.
And then maybe you could do one last song as we sign off.
Yeah, we'll do a fade out.
Fade
Real
out.
professional like.
Oh, you mean like after you sign off, we'll
After
go?
I say goodbye.
Yeah, you guys maybe do another tune after that.
As we all say goodbye. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Do we know another
Okay,
tune?
yeah, well, next one is a French-Canadian tune.
All right.
The Rille de Bellechasse.
The Real de Bellechasse. Let's get some French Canadian. The Real de Bellechasse. Very good. Lovely. Why don't we just go to the sign-off now, and then we'll fade out with our last waltz,
All
okay?
right. Let me go over there and.
Here, want me to take your guitar?
Sure, thank you, Debbie.
Sure.
Are you gonna play your fiddle with a guitar? Oh, you got hired help.
Tess will play guitar this time.
Oh, you're in trouble.
We'll do Peekaboo.
Yeah, Peekaboo.
Peekaboo trilogy.
Yes, that's why I'm looking for it. I have it here somewhere.
Your mic's on now, Heather.
Okay, great. Well, this has been a fabulous day. Oh my gosh, we've had a lot of fun, and thank you so much. What joy we've had in the room, and it's just been wonderful sharing it all with you. And so on behalf of Glenn, I'd like to say thank you so much to our wonderful hosts, the Saint-Gabriel-de-Valcartier Historical Committee, the wonderful Debbie Shakur, the violin-wielding president of the Saint-Valcartier Historical Committee, Our creative reenactors, the talented Danny Stewart, Andre Chartier, and Francois Vidal. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful to meet you in your historic voices. To Bruce Kirkwood, the man who knows his maps. Thank you so much. Joyce McCartney and the lovely Betty's Quilters, including Michelle McBain, Louise Murphy-Hicks, and Myrna Ampleman. It was wonderful to meet you. It was great to meet Philip Fortin, Quebec Chronicle Telegraph newspaper reporter. Thank you for coming. Thank you to Dominic Paddock from Voices of English-Speaking Quebec. It was great to finally meet you. Merci à Joanne Boucher de la Société Catherinoise, Deborah Kiley and Rob Landrigan from the Shannon Historical Society and from the Shannon Local Heritage Council. Thank you so much. It was lovely to meet both of you. Merci à Mario Lucier de la Société Histoire de Haute-Saint-Charles. Thank you for all the wonderful stories you told us today and the time you gave us and the objects you showed us. Thanks to the Board of Directors and volunteers of the Saint-Gabriel-de-Valcartier Historical Committee, including the wonderful women that left us gift baskets in our room, Susan McBain and Carol Monahan, to the snack ladies in the kitchen. You also gave us Jane Dodderidge, Joyce McCartney, Sharon Nadeau. I mixed you all up there, but thank you very much for all the things that you did for us. Thanks again to our funder Canadian Heritage, to our QAHN members across the network who've tuned in today. We also like to thank our wonderful technical support person, Allison Kirkwood, who's helped us with the audio visual. Yay! She helped us broadcast live without any issues, mostly no issues. To our musicians, Wesley McCoubry on accordion, Danny Stewart on guitar, Tess LeBlanc with her beautiful voice and dancing skills. Even if you were sitting, they were wonderful. I watched her feet. Debbie Shakur, the host with the most, and with her violin to boot. And our own multi-talented Glenn Patterson. It was wonderful. Thank you for your delightful music. It was a real gift. And you'll play us out as we say goodbye from the archives and offices of the Saint-Gabriel-de-Valcartier Historical Committee in Valcartier, Quebec. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. Yay! It's a wrap. We're going to be on Facebook.